Yeah. Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chasing, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready. 2 vets in the zone, keep the pressure real heavy. Big hits, big plays, yeah, we breaking it down. Truth rings in your speakers, every word is the crown. From the north side hustle to that southern flame. Midwest grind, west coast of the game. Sports talk kings, yeah, we wear that crown. Turn it up, let them know it's about to go down. Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chaser, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout.
It's about to go down.
Yes. Happy Tuesday out there. Taco Tuesday, that is. You are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports is Ordered. Look, tonight we got so much to get into. We got a new national champion in college basketball. What does it all mean? The tournament is looking at expansion. LeBron James said off with their heads. You know what I mean? And then, of course, Donald Trump, our president, with his executive order to rescue college sports. So he is the one and only, the world-renowned, the world-famous, cool, calm, and collected. He goes by the name of Mr. Logical. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, down here in the Alamo, it's your unorthodox statistician. I go by the name of 2-5. Hopefully, y'all liking, subscribing, sharing, reviewing, doing all those free things, all those good things with the Liquid Death on supply and on demand. Let's get right into it. And of course, we're everywhere you get your podcast. Mr. Logical, we got a new national champion. What up, Mike? New national champion. Hail to the victors. All right, that's enough of that shit.
Yeah,
but,
I was about to say, man, it went off the rails.
You know, but Michigan, Michigan is our new national champion. You know what I'm saying? They took care of UConn last night. And before we even get into it, Mr. Logical, I got to say this. Hey, Raph ain't only called it. I want it in my money league too. but look, this is what it is. You ready for this one? Terrace Reed went to Michigan for 2 years, played under Juwan Howard, transferred to UConn. UConn, of course, has played in 3 national title games. Michigan played in the one last night. Somehow, Terrace Reed didn't win any of those national titles.
Listen, that's the ebbs and flows of the transfer portal. I mean, listen, he got great opportunities. So he was able to go from Michigan to UConn. It wasn't like he had to go from Michigan to Western Arizona and then back. It was like, all right, you went from one powerhouse to another. It just wasn't your time. There were some things that probably could have helped UConn last night.
Like Stephon Castle? Like Ray Allen?
I thought they played great. I thought Michigan was playing, like I was sending to you and Chris. I was like, yo, they got a 7'3" guy. And I believe, let me see, he got one lob dunk in the second half. But in the first half, if you think about the Arizona game where he had 26 points, he just was rolling to the rim, throw it up to his hands. Roll to the rim, throw it up to his hands. Mm-hmm. And I felt like, I don't know if Johnson Jr., they felt like he had like a hotter hand, but Mara just wasn't getting the same thing. But college coaches tend to do that. Like you'll have a guy drop, 26,
whatever it is,
one game, and then your game plan for the next game is X, and he's no longer the person that needs to score that many points. But yeah, I felt like if they would have got the ball to him inside a little more, it would have probably been. They probably would have won by like 12 or 13 because they didn't have an answer for him.
Right. So look, the funniest thing of this is, a lot of people are talking about how the transfer portal is ruining college sports.
Correct.
Michigan just won the national title with 5 transfers in their starting lineup. Elliot Cadeau, let's start there. Started off at North Carolina. Like if he was there, maybe Hubert Davis would still be there. But, obviously, like Elliot Cadeau is not a force multiplier in the sense of give him the ball and watch him do the Darius Acuff show or anything like that. But he's just one of those gritty guys that just gets the ball at the right time, makes the right pass, takes the right shot, gets to the free throw line. You need a guy like that on your team. You know what I mean? Even if he's not, say, averaging 19 points a game or something like that, you go a long way with a guy like that. Then you had Dominican LeBron, playing through the injury. You know what I mean? Again, I did not make up that name. You know what I'm saying? Like Yaxel Lindenberg came in from UAB. He was supposed to be a top 10 draft pick. And throughout this year, I was looking like I don't see a top 10 draft pick. And when he went up against Cameron Boozer, for example, he got exposed. And that's why when we were making our original tournament picks, my thought was Michigan better hope that Duke doesn't get through. Because if Duke was going to get through, then Michigan wouldn't be sitting here as our champion right now, in my opinion. Then Mara, he came over, from another Big Ten school. And, like some guys just see the writing on the wall. And Mike, he's only 23, saying don't be believing them rumors, man. He's only 23. You know what I mean? But Dusty May, I talked about him coming over from Florida Atlantic. He was the head coach that took FAU to the Final Four a couple of years ago. So this is a team with pedigree. This is a team that comes through when it matters most. And I talked about it all year. Michigan didn't trail much, except for against Duke. Of course, they lost to Purdue. But UConn, let me tell you something. The other night, I was talking about Alex Caravan, and he was on both of those national title teams, with Danny Hurley. And last night, he came through 17-11, and I thought to myself, like, he might have another one in there. He might have another one in the chamber that helps UConn make this comeback. But then I made another realization. UConn wasn't going to win that game with Solo Ball on the floor. I've been waiting all year for Solo Ball to meet the hype that he came in with, and it's just not there. So it was a great defensive game. Some would argue ugly. And I would argue, can we please get these games out of these football stadiums? Like nobody shoots good. You know what I mean? And obviously it's there for the seats. It's there for the money. Michigan only hit 1 3-pointer all game. Like these games tend to be like this when you're playing in these domes. Your line of sight is off. It's just not good basketball.
But they were practicing in the big house.
they had to, and it didn't work.
It didn't work. And the reason it didn't work because it wasn't dark. It's broad daylight. They were just shooting at a basket that moved. I think Michigan got a little lucky. They got a little lucky. The foul disparity in the first half was huge. The second half, not so much. But the thing about the tickets in the domes, I saw a video of a guy was like $49 ticket. He was way above the scoreboard. So as long as people are willing to spend the money to sit that high up just to be in the building, they're going to keep doing it. But Michigan got a little lucky. I think they played a little reckless sometimes. McKinney, freshman, great from the free throw line. I think he shoots like 90%. He was making some decisions where I looked and Dusty May was getting somebody off the bench. I'm like, you better get this defensive rebound and you better get an assist or a bucket out of it when you bring it back up the court, because what you just pulled last time on the other end of the court, you going to the bench. And it happened like late in the first half where he did something where he lost the ball and then ended up getting the rebound, getting a quick outlet, and then Dominican LeBron got the layup, and then old boy Gale got the dunk, the putback dunk. So the momentum was good, and then he just told the guy to go back to his seat. But he was about to take his ass out the game. And there was a few times like he got it bailed out on like a foul call when he tried to step through a double team late in the game. Those are crucial moments, but for the most part, like I said, I think Michigan just played more aggressive around the rim. I don't think they got away with foul calls. I thought it was a very physical game.
No, honestly, they could have called 60 fouls on UConn.
And it was a lot of pushing. It was a lot of people hitting the floor. It was probably a sequence. I'm gonna say it was like a back and forth sequence, like 3 trips, and each time there was either one guy on the floor on one end or 2 guys on the floor for like a back and forth sequence. It was kind of frantic. And I think the rest of the good job was swallowing a whistle. The problem with that is like, I don't like when you call the bump on the guy driving the ball when you didn't call like the collision on the other end.
Right.
Like if you're going to let if you got a couple of 7-footers that hit the floor and no foul was called, then I need the 6'2" point guard and the guy defending him. He needs that liberty as well to get the bump.
Right.
You know, and that was one of the things I did notice. But I mean, there were foul calls, and like you said, they could have called like 60 fouls. But I just figured in those sequences where people were falling, let it play out.
Yeah, and of course, coming off hitting that shot against Duke, it was like, what does Braylon Mullins have in store for us? Well, he went 4 for 17. UConn as a team shot 30.9%, which is their lowest since 2022. But Mr. Logical, that is not the stat. This is the stat. The last 4 opponents that Michigan played in the tournament, they held to their season low in field goal percentage. That's the stat. Defense wins championships. So I wanted to do a little exercise because,
right.
NIL, we're going to talk about the executive order later and all that kind of stuff. So I said to myself, hey, self, how many of these teams with the highest payroll made the Final Four? So here are the top 10 payrolls in college basketball this year, starting from 1 going to 10. Kentucky, BYU, Duke, Arkansas, Louisville, Texas Tech, St. John's, who Mr. Logical believed in for some reason, Michigan, Kansas, and Tennessee. And then there you go, Arizona's number 11. So out of the top 10 payrolls in college basketball, 1 of them made the Final Four. Now, people are going to trick you. The reason I wanted to tell you that is because they're going to say something along the lines of Michigan had a top 10 payroll and they won the national title. Your retort to that is they're the only one that made the Final Four that's in the top 10.
But who's like, does that hurt the NIL argument or does it help?
No, I think it just shows that you still need, the right coach or the right circumstances, maybe the right bracket even. You know what I mean? Like it's not just throw money at it, because Kentucky threw $20 million at it and didn't even get out the second round against a team that was missing their best player. BYU with AJ DeBoncha, probably are going to be the number 1 draft pick, didn't even make it out the first round, lost to a double-digit seed. So you still have to have the requisite things that a champion needs to have for you to pull it off is the overall point.
Yeah, and that's my argument for the NIL and the money and everything else is that I don't think schools who didn't have any money all of a sudden started using money for NIL. Basically, BYU, Texas, Michigan, Arizona, Oregon, Ohio State, LSU, Florida, all these schools had $100 million for football and basketball. Now they just take 12 to 18 of that, and they pay out directly to the players. It's still because the school has $100 million. That's just an arbitrary number, but like they have $100 million available because they are these schools.
Right.
Like I said, Hofstra is not going to have that kind of money. Akron, even with LeBron James as their biggest, suitor, they don't have that same kind of money.
Yeah, because Bron ain't giving them no money.
You gotta, like I said,
he talking about Memphis hotels. Let's talk about Akron sports.
You gotta put the money, you gotta put the people, and everything has to work. Certain coaches, like people talk about Dan Hurley, I think he's doing an outstanding job at UConn, but I don't know if that yelling as much as he yells works in the NBA. I don't know if he can get the Memphis Grizzlies, as we talk about Memphis, like to 60 wins with that kind of like yelling intensity when you're yelling at like NBA players. I think it works in college. Some things just work, depends on how you build your team. And in this particular case, college basketball is looking like, hey, build it with transfers that have been in other big programs, maybe a couple of guys that are 4 or 5 years in the college, but you still got to have the right coach to make the right plays, make the right substitutions. And you need a little bit of luck. Those guys got to be healthy all year long.
So I'm being a little facetious here, but I'm kind of not. Are we getting into a situation where the Celtics don't want to see the Hornets in the playoffs? Anyway,
that'd be perfectly fine.
On top of that, Mr. Logical, one of the fun things that, people like to do after the national title game has been decided, or even during the national title game sometimes, is what does next year look like? So, of course, next year, wouldn't you know, the Blue Devils are the favorite to win the national title. Followed by Michigan, Arizona, Florida, Houston, and Michigan State. Even though I don't know how anybody can say that when we don't know who's going to be on any of these teams.
I think they just do that. I think the sports books are like, yo, I need somebody to make a 4-way parlay on futures bets. I'm going to give you whatever. Because I don't know where Michigan was at the beginning of the year, but the game where they were just dismantling Gonzaga was like, yep.
They started off top 5.
Yeah. So it was like you have these opportunities, and I think Michigan capitalized on it well. I think their ability to play inside out, they play very big down low. They didn't shoot the ball very well. They were getting good looks. Dominican LeBron was forcing it in the second half. He was very honest in his halftime.
He was hurt too, yeah.
Yeah, he was very honest, and you could tell he was trying to will himself and his team to victory. But I don't think they needed that. I think I believe they had such an advantage the whole game. It's just, I think Dan Hurley, his face when that guy hit the 3, I think it was Ball hit the 3, made the score.
Oh, the big shot.
Yeah, 67-63. When they came to the huddle, he had the biggest smile on his face. And it didn't look like he was, fronting for his team or for the cameras. I think he genuinely was like, okay, I think we're going to be able to do this. I think we're going to foul the guys, we're going to miss 2 free throws, we're going to come back, we're going to score. I genuinely believe he thought, all right, we're gonna cut this 4-point deficit after that big 3, because Michigan was slowly like trying to give them the game. They couldn't handle the trap for some reason. They gave the ball up then. They had made like 16 free throws in a row, and missed 2 in a row. So you could just tell, like, it felt like, can we do Michigan the way we did Duke? A little over a week ago.
I'm waiting for Danny Hurley to have his moment. I know he's won his titles, but I'm talking about like his Bobby Knight moment. There's this thing because Indiana's the last team to finish a year undefeated back in 1987, and they were going last men's team, and they were going into the Elite 8 against LSU, and they were asking Bobby Knight about the pressure of being undefeated. And he said, I was a little worried until I realized we were playing LSU and I saw Dale Brown on the other sideline. So, that's the other head coach. So I'm waiting for Danny Hurley to have a moment like that because I think that he's authentically him. I don't think this is a front. I don't think that he's like going over the top or anything. I think this is just who Danny Hurley is. And I think I would like to see him, in the NBA just to see the social experiment part of it. But Mike, y'all got that coming to Duke every year, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got that coming to Duke every year. That ain't moving us no more. But here's a couple of random thoughts too. Can we please, for the love of God, stop putting Michigan State in the top 5 or 10 of favorites winning the national title? Tom Izzo has not won a title since 2000. Can we stop it? Oh, hey, Arizona fans, congratulations. You finally met the hype and made the Final Four. You still ain't winning the title. The streak is up to 29, or the drought is up to 29 years now. You know what I mean? Go win a national title. You know what I mean? And what do you think about this, Mr. Logical? Side note, Mike Malone to North Carolina?
I mean, it's run like a business now, so maybe NBA coach can bring a new. I don't know what his connection to North Carolina is. Did he go there? Was he graduate from there? Did the GM somebody used to work in Denver? Like, I'm not sure what the connection is. I mean, it's shorter season.
Well, I know his daughter plays volleyball at North Carolina.
Maybe that's enough.
I don't know.
Bill
like
Belichick went there. North Carolina has something where they can get these professional coaches to come there. They must give them like great contracts, or just I'm not sure. I think it'll work. I think because, like, for one, it's a shortened season. I think coaching has a greater impact in college sports than it does in the NBA or professional sports.
I'm a little nervous.
I mean, they're going to get the talent. So
I know, but the whole problem with him was that he didn't. I don't know, and maybe you get different as your job changes. But like the thing that fell apart in Denver was he didn't want to play the young guys. He did, and it's different because it's the NBA.
He's always going to have his young guys. If I got Jokic, Eric Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., I'm probably going to run with those two.
Stop that, Riz. Leave Hubert alone. This ain't a good week for people that look like or are named Wanye Morris. You know what I'm saying? Cut that out.
So, yeah, I think it'll work. Like I said, shortened season. I think coaching in college basketball is more of an impact, more of an immediate impact. I think they can kind of impose their philosophy and really have a grand impact versus just having this idea but still needing these top-tier elite athletes to make it work. So, yeah, I think it'll work. It's a different type of hire. I didn't think that they would go. I figured they would go with some kind of young assistant that's already kind of floating around college, maybe even taking.
Well, I actually like
taking like another team's head coach. But
I like the Billy Donovan idea. You know what I mean? Like, he is a college coach through and through. Back-to-back national titles. So I mean, we'll see. But last question before we move on here. Now that all of this is in the books, where do you think women's basketball is today compared to where it was, say, 2 years ago?
I don't know. It's difficult. I think it's more popular, but the way they're shaping the negotiations and the money, this includes the WNBA, I think that's kind of taken over like the conversation, because I believe they deserve more money. Like, if you are generating money, if you're going to run this league, if you're going to have me on these channels, you're going to have me on these, like, I need to get a better deal out of the pot, which is what anybody would do. If you work for Barstool, if you work for whomever that's generating money and they're getting money off of your name, image, and likeness, you're going to want more money. I just think that it's kind of taken over the conversation surrounding women's basketball, where like they play few years in college, they build up these dynasties. Teams like UCLA with Lauren Betts, her sister's there, like winning the national championship. You got Dawn Staley, who's a staple in the Final Four. Gina Oriana obviously is just, you know, an icon. Was Kim Bookery or whatever down in LSU?
Oh yeah,
it's in the theatrics.
Kim Mulkey,
yeah, Kim Mulkey. Her Tennessee's losing all their players, so they're having this. Their top tier programs are having the same successes and problems as the men's league. I just think that the professional league isn't kind of helping foster more attention to the amateur league. But I think the talent, the female talent, is top tier.
So, like, I think that, you know, the women's game just is the women's game. And what I mean by that is one of the things that makes the men's tournament so big, I guess, is the Cinderella aspect of it. And the women's tournament just doesn't have that.
Because the top tier teams for women are just that much better than the rest. The whole
I get that. Like, I'm just saying, like from the
they don't.
But they don't. No, I get that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so from the standpoint of, you know, you can't necessarily set up. I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know how popular office pools are, you know, for women's basketball or anything like that. Because I mean, the lowest seed to ever win a national title is a 3. So, you know, like, I mean, it's happened 3 times, but still, like, a 3 seed is the lowest seed to win the national title.
But the Cinderella thing is, in fairness, we've talked about people don't like the Cinderella to actually get to the ball, meet the prince, marry the prince, and really live happily ever after. People like the part where she got to the ball and got to dance a little bit. But when midnight came, hop your ass back in this pumpkin and go back to your crib. Like, that's what people like about the Cinderella. People are mad that Indiana, the football team, won. They were like, this shows you how fake the season was. It's like the logic doesn't make any sense. But according to the Cinderella concept, they are it. This guy came in first year, won 10, 11 games. People felt like they shouldn't have been ranked in the top 10, shouldn't have been in the college football playoff. He comes back the following year with an undefeated season with a very, you know, calm, mild-mannered quarterback. They weren't theatrical. They were just hard-nosed, good football team. And people felt like that was too much because they don't want Cinderella at the castle after the ball. They wanted to show up, do a little dance, scurry down the stairs, hop in the pumpkin, and the horses turn back into mice, and everyone lives happily ever after when the real queen comes through and gets crowned. Like, that's what people want. They don't want George Mason to win it all. But women's college basketball, you got to be a top 3. You have to be one of these top 12 teams in the country to win it all, which makes the most sense. If you're going to crown a national champion, it's probably the team that's hovering between 1 and 15 throughout the entirety of the year. I don't want a team that's been 37 to 40 all of a sudden make this run and they win the national championship. It just doesn't make it. Just logically probably won't even happen, but more likely it's going to be one of these top 12 teams.
You know the worst thing that happened this weekend?
Appreciate it.
Auburn winning the NIT. You know, because now that there's been these talks about expanding the tournament to 76, we're going to see these teams that are 18 and 16 and have tough schedules get into these conversations. So I don't want to be that guy that repeats the thing that everybody says, because everybody says you're diluting the regular season. So I don't want to say that. So let me look at it at a different angle. So when we get to March, late February, early March, and we're looking at the bubble, you know, who's going to make the tournament, who doesn't. We already have the last 4 in and the next 4 out. You know, so that's your 8 teams right there. generally speaking. So I just don't see I don't know what the word is, I guess the hype or the incentive to care about some of these conference tournament games, because you know how I feel about conference tournaments anyway. But once we get to this point where we have the last four in and in the first four out, I look at it from the standpoint of, do I really care that this 12 seeded Oklahoma in the SEC tournament lost, and now 9 seed Kansas State from the Big 12 is taking their place? I don't care about that as it is.
Correct.
So this is just a money grab from the standpoint of y'all are going to watch. Yeah, because like, are we going to get Belmont in the tournament now? Are we going to get East Tennessee State in the tournament? Navy, who won their regular season conferences this year. So they proved themselves over the course of an 18 to 20 game schedule that they're the best team in their league. And you decided to have a party for a weekend where they got drunk and stumbled over themselves, and then you didn't let them in the tournament. Are they getting in the tournament now?
No. Auburn's getting in. Texas Tech is getting in. Insert whatever team that can sell tickets that's 18 and 16. They're getting in. I thought 64 was perfect. I think 64 was the number we had pretty much our whole lives that I can remember.
Yeah, 1985 is when it went to 64.
64. So like our whole life until, a handful of years ago, they went to 68. Mm-hmm. I don't like 68 because you have 16 seeds and 11 seeds playing to get in. It's like, how are these other 11s already in? How'd you pick Texas and Miami of Ohio as the 2 11 seeds that have to play their way in? Like, it just, the logic never made any sense to me, and I can't believe they still do it. So
a team that was 31-1, by the way.
That was 31-1, had to fight their way in. I see if you wanted to go with 8 16 seeds, or that would be the number, and have that the team from that small mid-major, and have them play their way in. But if a team is good enough to be ranked 11, why am I playing an extra game for my tournament life when teams ranked 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 are just chilling on top of the other 16? It's like, why are we the tournament? If you want to start it off, it should be the 16 seeds, the extra ones, so you can get that. Maybe you get that one team that's a 16 seed and they score 98 points in the game, and then maybe people get hyped up saying that maybe this 16 could be the one. Other than that, it's just a pure cash grab. We're still gonna watch. We're still gonna fill out the brackets, but as far as like the brevity and the to solidify like the outer workings of the tournament, I don't think adding 8 teams makes was a hill of beans. What's the phrase?
Well, I don't know what that saying is, but I just think that there's ways to go about this that can make it more exciting, but I don't think you'll ever get the full buy-in because, March Madness for the most part is about drawing in the casual, right? So, and that's what makes me skeptical about this, because back in the early 2000s to around 2010 or so, I think it was, we had the bracket busters. There was just this weekend in February where, you would get like Mary State against St. Mary's and matchups like that of these teams from smaller conferences that don't get a lot of TV.
And that'd be the first time you would have saw them too.
Right. And they would be on ESPN. And, that was awesome. But now if I'm thinking about it this way, where I just asked, is Belmont going to get in? Right. Somebody like me will probably tune in to watch Bradley play against Vermont. You know what I mean? And then the winner could probably get in as, a 13 seed or something. I might watch that because I love college basketball. But the intended audience is the people that haven't been watching college basketball all year. They're not tuning in for Bradley versus Vermont. So it's already flawed to begin with.
And you lose your surprise Cinderella teams because you'll have a preseason or early season matchup at like Cleveland State versus Ohio State. It'll just be a game that they just play. or Vermont versus Syracuse because they're both way up there, damn near in Canada. So that game will just happen. So
you saw McNamara took Doty to Syracuse with him too.
That's what these coaches do. I've already beaten that horse to death. That's what they do. So you're not surprised by the matchup, and that's the other piece. So it's like making it 76 teams is like, what are we gaining other than whatever dollars per game, like whatever dollars amount per team. So if at 64 teams they made $64 million, and at 68 they made $68 million. At 76 they're going to make $76 million, because that's the only advantage I see as a fan, as a casual, as the framework of the tournament. The length of the tournament is already far enough. It's called March Madness. The game ended last night. So it's like it used to be.
Hey, let's take a quick pivot. Let's take a fork in the road real quick. Hey, tell everybody how you feel about that 8:50 tip-off.
Yo, keep it 100. Listen, man, I don't go to work that early. Like, I'm fortunate. I work 7 minutes from the house, but I'm like 8:50. Like, there's nothing else on TV. It's Monday night. Like, the tip-off should have been.
Hey, 8. Don't disrespect Monday Night Raw like that.
But if you're watching, you can watch both. It's like they had it set for 8:50 as if people don't have options to watch multiple things at once. We know the first weekend of football, you got your iPad, you got your laptop, you got your TV, you got your phone. So if you want to watch Raw and basketball, you can watch it at 8:50. Indianapolis is on Eastern Standard Time. So it wasn't like a California Super Bowl kickoff is like it's way too early. So they kind of like it was 8:50 in Indiana when the game started. So it's like, why was it 8:50? 8:15 tip-off.
Well, I remember the days where it used to be 9:21.
Like, it's like, come on, man. Like, it was wild late. And then I was like, I wanted to watch Peaky Blinders when the game was over, but then all the fouls was happening. I was like, listen, man, Peaky would have to wait till tomorrow. But yeah, it's just I understand you're trying to bring the whole audience in, but it's Monday. You have people locked in already on Monday. Granted, you don't have to put it on 6 o'clock, but 8:15 they should be watching basketball.
But Mr. Logical, last week, see, like a couple, this is how quickly basketball changes. I was ready to wave my white flag, and look at my Denver Nuggets, 9-1 in their last 10. Jokic trying to make one last run at the MVP. It ain't going to work, but man, that game against the Spurs the other day, Saturday, him and Wemby going back and forth. You had Jokic with 28, 13, and 11. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. That's what he's averaging in those 10 games. My bad. In that game Saturday, 48 rebounds, 13 assists, 3 blocks. Wemby, 34, 18, 7 assists, and 5 blocks. That was the Titans. Yes.
Exhausted. Jokic looked exhausted. You know what? Oh, don't tell me about the movie. I haven't finished the season yet. I gotta finish the show. I keep avoiding it on Netflix. But Jokic is going to be one of those players that when he retires, because he's going to retire at the end of the season, he's just not going to come back. He's not going to do a farewell tour. It's just going to be the season's going to end, and he's going to sit at the podium, and he's not going to say, I need to discuss it with my family. He's going to be like, hey, this was my last game in the NBA. I'm going back to Serbia to race my horses.
Seabiscuit needs me.
And it's going to be like, man, we really didn't appreciate this. Because, like, he was working his ass off in that game against Wemby.
He's been playing defense lately, too.
I mean, maybe he just spaced it out, timed it out. But, yeah. I mean, we're looking – the playoffs are going to be dominated by the headlines. A lot of it's going to be led with the Lakers as far as, like, the headlines. But it's shaping up to be incredible. Like, it's shaping up that these second-round matchups.
Yes, and this might be one of them.
A couple of these first-round matchups are going to be crazy, and then the second-round ones are going to be like, it's going to look like a team that was worthy of winning the NBA championship or built to win the NBA championship might be out in the second round.
Put your hood away, Rez.
Yeah, so like I said, we can get a second round matchup if everything plays out chalk. We can go Thunders, Lakers, Spurs, Nuggets. Many people probably have money on the Spurs. I'm pretty sure some Lakers fans have money on them to at least reach the Western Conference Finals. And
well, I don't know. Austin Reeves got this oblique. He's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Now with the injuries, injuries have to change. Has to change it. Like the lack of a player has to change your expectations for the team's success. But you're looking at it, Spurs, Nuggets, one of those teams. The Nuggets knocked the Spurs out. Like, that's before the Western Conference Finals. That season's going to look like a complete disappointment if that happens. But
well, that's what I was talking about.
A couple of the league right now.
Now let's rewind. Remember, a couple of months ago, we were having a conversation, and this is what 2-5 said. 2-5 said, "Hey, between Oklahoma City, Denver, San Antonio, Minnesota, and Houston, somebody's going to lose a second round series. They're going to overreact, and they're going to get in the Giannis sweepstakes." You know what I mean?
Blow it up.
They're going to blow it up. Now, I don't think it's going to be the Spurs now, because here we are. The Spurs out here with 60 wins. Dylan Harper's coming on late, 23 minutes off the bench, averaging, yes, I do, Rez, averaging about, 13 points with 4 rebounds and 4 assists, looking the part. He just doesn't get enough minutes because they have De'Aaron Fox, so I don't think they need to do that. But when you're looking at the Rockets, for example, you got
going to lose their coach.
Yeah, you got Steven Adams out for the year again. You know what I mean? Kevin Durant is the best player on the team, and if he doesn't average 29 on about 57% shooting, the Rockets are out of here early. Now, the thing that makes it even crazier is because everything that I've just been saying about Denver, because I picked them to win the title, everything I've been saying about Jokic, in all this, I can't even say it. Like, if they match up with Minnesota in the first round, Minnesota's had their number over the last couple of years. So, you know what I mean? So if you're the Nuggets, you're praying, that you get the Rockets, or if you fall back a spot, but I don't think but I think they're locked into Minnesota. I think if they finish third, I think they're locked in with Minnesota.
I don't think the Lakers pass them with the injuries. And I don't think
me too, Mike.
Timberwolves pass the Rockets. I think a lot of teams, because we're looking at 46 and 32, that's 78.
Yeah, there's about 3-4 games left.
3 or 4 games left. If I'm 4 through 5, short of the Lakers wanting to stay ahead of the Rockets, I imagine that's a possibility.
With the injuries, I would imagine with the Lakers, you just want to try to get a home series,
So as long as you're Lakers, even if you fall to 5, you already know who your opponent is. So I think everyone's kind of locked in. Like, all right, Denver's thinking like, all right, we're playing Minnesota. Minnesota's like, we are not going to jump the Rockets. So it's like, I think everyone's kind of locked in, and it's a matter of like, you know what? Hey, this is game 80. That toe might have been bothering you. You're going to sit down for the next few games, be ready for the playoffs. Or maybe you don't play 80 games, 81, 82, because they got the play-in. The play-in kind of takes up about 4 or 5 days of like the play-in time before they get their break from the play-in winners before the playoffs actually starts. So you might get guys that just rest up. Like, we're locked in.
Well, the other thing with Denver is they play too damn much. Last night they had to come back from 18 down against Portland. They play too much. All year long, Denver's been playing in these games that they had to play the last 2 minutes of a game as if it was a playoff game. And I got to imagine that wears you down at some point. I know these guys are in peak shape and everything, but just having that intensity level, playing that way all year.
Sharp.
It could be.
Keeps you sharp.
It could be.
Prepared for those moments. And
who's not sharp? The Chicago Bulls, even though they just beat my Wizards by 38. I think it was actually 28, but either way, they fired their GM. They fired their president of basketball operations. And, one winning season in their time. And, when you go back and look at it, you look at all the things that the Bulls traded, or lost, and you look at the lack of what they got back. You know what I mean? And so now this is a chance for someone, and I don't know who that someone is because you got to deal with the owner still, but there's someone out there, some young kid that has been playing 2K way too much that wants to come into Chicago and put his theories to work. You know what I mean? The Bulls have a chance here, you know what I mean? But you got to figure out, and that's the other thing, no first round picks, but you got to figure out what you want to do with Billy Donovan now. Like, I would imagine you want to keep him and then, start off with a fresh regime, but does that regime want to start off with him? The
regime doesn't want to start off with him because the last thing you would want to do, and we talk about this with football a lot because it happens a lot often because we talked about it with Chicago Bears. They could look at another team in their state. Just make the clean sweep. Just do it. Because
just do it.
Even if that's Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? Even if you think Billy Donovan might be the guy that can help you shape your future teams, if it doesn't happen with whatever team you put out there next year, you can't, in your right mind and capacity for the fans, say, you know what? Next year he's got is like he's already had he was already at the helm that got these other people fired, these bad trades, these bad seasons, and these outcomes. Just start fresh. There's opportunities for him, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if any college vacancies are still out there that he can entertain, but if you want to start fresh, especially if I'm the new regime, I don't want to deal with, what
he
you
is
left.
Stupid. Yeah. So, from time to time on Sports Reports is Ordered, I try to show a little love to those who I feel aren't being coveted enough. So let me take a second and remind y'all that SGA has a cousin in the league. His name is Nickeil Walker-Alexander, or Alexander Walker, whichever one. But point being, he hit his career high 41 last week, came back with 36 last night. The Atlanta Hawks are not going to be in the play-in now, it looks like. It looks like they're going to secure that 5 seed. And Knicks, you better watch out if it's you that fall into that spot. Cleveland, you better watch out if you stay in that spot. Because I think the Hawks are coming. They might not win a series, but they're going to scare the hell out of somebody and, make you reevaluate who you are. And then on top of that, earlier in the season, we were talking about the Raptors, who I called a regular season team, and I don't even know if they're that now. They're falling all the way down to 7 now, so they're probably going to end up in the play-in. Embiid, is back. And, Philly is gearing up. Now, obviously, the key with Philadelphia is who going to be on the court when the playoffs come.
That's the problem. The thing with Philly is that if you had to make that bet, you can write them off based off of that. There's no
Rez, that's deep. That's deep.
You can't. You probably aren't wrong if you say Philly will lose their series because somebody that's vital to them gets injured during the series.
Okay.
Or plays injured or plays through an injury and they're limited. It's almost a guarantee. So, but if Embiid is that guy, he's out there. He's such a threat offensively, and he's such a big body. You have to employ him. But if he's not 100%, they could be wasted possessions. And we talk about NBA playoff basketball. Those last couple of minutes, do I keep Embiid out there or do I take him out because he's some of a liability? He can't move right. Like I was talking about the Knicks a couple of years ago. I'm like, yo, just attack his leg. Like he can't go to his right.
And his face was paralyzed too.
He was just put him in a pick and roll. They kept trying to shoot over top of him. I'm like, just make him move. So That's the problem with Philly.
Well, that's why. But if you're the Knicks and you're playing against Philly, for example, that's where you kind of get in trouble if Philly can stay healthy because Cat is just going to stay out on the perimeter or, hang out around the corner or the baseline. He's not going to make him be work.
He'll put the ball on the floor. He'll put the ball on the floor more than they were doing with Jalen Brunson in that particular series. That game with Embiid hit 50 one game and stayed out there and played longer probably than he should on a bad leg. Then the next game, I was like, yo, attack him.
And how the hell is Jalen Brunson so clutch? You know what I'm saying? And see, that's the other problem that the Knicks have is that they're too reliant, even though it works out, they're too reliant on Jalen Brunson having the answers under a minute left in the game, and you can't live like that once the playoffs start.
Well, I mean, I think they rode that wave. They've been riding that wave for a while. I think it might be, like I said, it just might be what they believe. And it's like, hey, this guy's going to dribble. It feels like he's dribbling air out of the ball, create space, and shoot that left-handed sidestep three and put the Knicks up 4. That kind of ices the game.
Yeah, and Mr. Logical, you know me. I changed my mind again.
About?
I was ready to give Con Knipple the Rookie of the Year.
Until Cooper Flag scored 100 points this weekend.
And then Cooper Flag was like, yo, fuck you, 2-5. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought you said I was white Jason Tatum. And I was like, I did, Coop. And he was like, watch me work. And I was
that's probably a perfect description of Cooper Flag.
It's like, hey, come take. But the thing about Cooper Flag that makes him so scary, though, is because, since I do refer to him as white Jason Tatum, I think he already has that killer instinct I've been waiting for Tatum to develop. Like, I think he already has it.
I don't think Tatum lacks a killer instinct, though.
He does. Like you know what Jason Tatum is? Jason Tatum is the dude shooting threes in his garage going 3, 2, 1, and Kobe hits the shot. And then he has to step on the court and realize that he ain't Kobe.
I don't know. I think Boston's team has always been so good that it's never really been on his shoulders to. He's been the most talented guy. I think Jaylen Brown is the more forceful talent. I think Jason Tatum plays, it looks a little bit more fluid. I think Jaylen Brown plays a little bit more aggressive. I think it's just personality, but I don't think he shies away from like this team. But
no, I don't think he shies away. He's just not effective.
I think they just have a better team. I mean, he dropped 50 against was it against Miami a few years back, or maybe against?
I know it was Philly. It was Philly in that game 7. Yeah. He got it moments.
It's not something that they do because they have so many guys. I think his 28 points.
Yeah.
When he scores 28 points in a game where Boston scores 122, it just doesn't feel like it because Boston scored 122. Well, I think they're able to score that 122 because he's so on to get his 28. And like they're just able that the offense just flows. Whereas other stars just don't really have that. Like Cooper Flag has to score 45 points to look like he's having a killer instinct for them to win 122 to 117. He has to drop 45.
So I got another one for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Then I changed my mind again. This one might be my stat of the night. So
yeah, Rez, that's true though. He does settle for that jumper a little too much though.
He does. So Kobe and LeBron came out of high school, right?
Correct.
And Cooper Flag is the first teenager to have back-to-back 40-point games as a rookie. He's the first rookie to have back-to-back 40-point games since the one and only Allen Iverson. So yeah, future's bright, But Steph Curry back. Do you care?
I feel bad that they didn't have an adult in the room to tell them this was over 3 years ago. I think that, like I said before, I think that
first teenager to score 50. There you go. Yeah,
that 2022 championship somehow created a reset button that didn't exist. Or no, like a retool button versus a reset button. I think they lose that series. it's a reset. Guys are moving on. They're rebuilding. Maybe so with Steph, maybe so with Draymond, but I think it's a more deliberate, active, like, hey, we just made it to the finals. We obviously came up short. Now we need to make adjustments. But when they won, they didn't make any adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've been kind of holding on to that. And it's fading. Like Steph's out there said nothing's wrong with my knee. It's just something I'm living with. I'm like, stop. Just shut it down for this year.
So let me adjust here because I gotta read something real quick.
All right,
so Luka Doncic has to log 20 minutes in one more game or no awards. No All-NBA. If he doesn't log 20 minutes in one more game. And this is something that I learned because I don't know how many people know this, so I'm just going to say it. Maybe I'm just a dumbass, but there is a 62 and a 64 game exception, for the 65 game rule. But to get that exception, you have to have played 85% of your team's games at the time that you got hurt. So that's what hurts Luka. Is that he didn't play 85% of the Lakers games up until the point of his injury. Or, 85%. So you got Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, not eligible. Wemby, who isn't playing the Spurs next game, he's got a rib injury now. He has to play in 2 of the last 4 games or else no awards. You know what I mean? And by the way, who's praying for his downfall? Mr. Jokic. And then Kawhi Leonard, he can sit out one more game before the season ends. So what do you think the conversation is going to be if a lot of those things happen?
It's going to change. It's going to change.
I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't, but it will change. It'll change to probably 60. Let me see. Let me do some quick math here.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't change because, like I said, don't put the chicken before the egg, or the egg before the chicken or however that goes, because this 65 game rule exists for a reason, but they didn't count on, like you might have counted on, you might have 62. Like you might have counted on, okay, maybe a Anthony Edwards misses out on an award, but you weren't counting on Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, potentially Luka, Wemby, all in the same season.
So what you're going to end up with is either a flat 60. I like the rule too. You're going to go with a flat 60 or 62 divided by 82 is 75.6 or 76. So either you're going to go 62 and call it 76% of the games. That's your threshold. Or you go 61 and round that 74 up to 75. Let's say you got to go 61 out of 82. You can only miss 21 games.
I mean, at that point, I think you're going to chase the carrot, though, because then dudes are going to play 58 games, and then what?
They're going to be like, listen, we just changed it. We can't change it this soon. But there is going to be proposals to change it. I'm not a proponent of changing it. I think the 65 was solid. I think it's clear. I think it was understood going into the season. And I think just holistically, it made sense. All NBA, all-star teams, awards are tied to bonuses in your contracts and or
Cade Cunningham,
like the extensions you can sign. So like it's beneficial to you to win these awards. So if I'm a player who's played 66 games and I'm a point guard and SGA plays 64 and he can't be all NBA, and I get that spot, and my extension comes up, I'm with it. And I think that's what it's kind of going to boil down to is like, I'm looking out for myself by being out here for 66 or 67 or 70 games to help my team win and help my family because I'm able to get this bonus because I made all NBA. Because we talked about that with remember John Morant had his rookie extension.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was able to be this number because he was all NBA, but he didn't make all NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So he only got his extension was less. So if a guy's like, yo, if Kawhi Leonard doesn't meet it and I make all defensive team and he doesn't, and I get a $7 to $8 million bonus, I'm good. That dude's making $50 million. That dude's making $50 million on his contract. I'm making 12. If I get all NBA and I get another $5 million, I'm taking that $5 million.
Oh, and Kawhi, we ain't forget that the law on your ass either. We ain't forget about that. But so the other day, your guy,
my guy,
LeBron.
Everybody else said it, but my guy,
LeBron Raymond James Sr. LeBron Raymond James Sr. was out here golfing with those guys, those billionaires, and he was flapping his gums, and he got a lot of people upset.
Only reason a lot of people got upset because he said it, and we talked about this before. People said it before. People said it about a lot of cities before. Hell, he said it about Cleveland. He's like, I couldn't get anybody to come to Cleveland. That's why I had to go to Miami. So we know certain cities.
No, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. He did not say, hey, you know what? I couldn't get nobody to come to Cleveland. Why don't we move them to Cincinnati? He didn't say that.
But he could have stayed in Cleveland. He was like, I couldn't get anybody to come to Cleveland, so I went to Miami. And he said it in the post-game. He was like, yo, he's like, I don't like playing in Cleveland. I'm from there. He's like, I don't like playing at home, and I'm from there. He said it in another post-game.
Yes, but he didn't tell them to go to Columbus.
But he also didn't say, I don't want to. Well, listen, you gotta go to Memphis because that's the Western Conference team. So he probably has to play them more than he plays in Cleveland. So he probably was like, yo, moving to Nashville. And I was like, all right, let me check out something. Let me just kind of look into something. I was like, all right, how many 5-star hotels are in the Memphis, Tennessee area?
One.
I looked it up. According to AI, I got a 4-star or 4-diamond property. And I think that's the Peabody.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked up, all right, how many are in?
I think that's proving his point, Mike. Amari Stoudemire didn't. Amari Stoudemire, that is.
Nashville has an abundance of 5-star hotels. And I'm just thinking about the players. I'm not thinking about the fans coming to games. I'm thinking like NBA players are probably used to, this king level treatment everywhere they travel, private, leg room on every plane, food, LeBron with his cookies and all that, everything. But they just like a little bit more luxury.
I get that.
Memphis isn't providing that. Or like I talked about this, like I've gone to games in Philly. The Philly, basically, if you take, it's like an intersection. You got the Citizens Bank Park, the Link, and then you have the Wells Fargo Center where the Sixers and the
Flyers
play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That entire area is policed heavily during the games. The traffic is policed. You can get right on and off the interstate. The hotels in the area are really nice, so the teams can get in and out. Philly's hard to drive in, but that particular location offers you just structure, organization, and security. Maybe the Memphis area doesn't provide that. Maybe it's not built for these level of events or to the standard that these NBA players deem.
Mr. Logical, didn't the NBA and the Grizzlies know that before they moved to Memphis?
I'm pretty sure they did, but places get worse.
No, but the point is, it's like, if that's the case, then they should have never went to Memphis in the first place. You know what I mean? Second of all,
it wasn't that bad. Maybe it was all right.
Second of all right. I know that Nashville is booming right now. It's growing. They got 3 professional teams.
Nashville started booming later because a lot of country music stars talked about how Nashville used to be this kind of place. And over the last, 10 years or so, it's boomed. So it might have been on par with Memphis until the boom occurred. And that was like, whoa, it's really popular in Nashville. You got these teams, you got the hockey team, you got the football team. Let's slide the basketball team over there so we can enjoy.
No, but like, so this is the thing, though. There's a couple of things going on here. You know what I'm saying? I'll take your word for it, Rez. There's a couple of things going on here, though. You have the name Mr. Logical.
Correct.
You know, you like to use logic-based arguments.
Correct.
I do too, damn it. So Jimmy Butler came out here talking about how dangerous Memphis is, right? As if we don't have NBA teams in the following cities: Detroit, Cleveland, Indianapolis. Why do I pick those three? Because those three are top 10 in homicides. You know what I'm saying? So how about that? You know what I'm saying? Then, if I just wanted to flip the lid and go to another sport for just a quick second, right? St. Louis got a baseball team, and everybody talking about, yo, they should have a football team. The Rams shouldn't have left. St. Louis is the most dangerous team in these here United States. You know what I'm saying? Chicago, that's the white people's go-to when they want to talk bad about black people. And guess what? Chicago got teams up the ass.
But Chicago's not even top 50 in violent cities in America.
I agree, but I'm just making a point. That's what they say. You know what I'm saying? But to get back serious for a second. So look, this is a cultural problem, because two people, right? You know what I'm saying? We always talk about this. Two people, LeBron James and Sean Carter. Those two dudes are aware of everything that comes out of their mouth at all times. You know what I'm saying? They are perfectly crafted to speak in front of cameras because they don't say anything. Period. Right? So I guess now LeBron is in his old man stage. And yes, I know LeBron brought up Cream City as well. You know what I'm saying? I know he brought up Cream City as well. He don't like to go to Milwaukee either. You know what I'm saying? I know he did. But then I thought about it. What do Memphis and Milwaukee have in common? Besides the fact that they start with M, they got a shit ton of black people. And now you're talking about moving this team out of this city, historical city, unfortunately, where Martin Luther King was killed and everything. Anniversary just passed. But, you know, and taking them to Fox News Central and putting them in the middle of a city where people like Dave Portnoy and his ilk run around. Now, granted, now from a business standpoint,
5-star hotel, like I think that's all.
No, for real. Memphis has had 25 years to build a hotel or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they've had 25 years to rectify these wrongs, if you will. So I'm not absolving the city of Memphis. Oh, don't do that, Riz. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to absolve the city of Memphis for their responsibilities. But one of the reasons that the Grizzlies, and this is just me, this is just me speculating. This is just me speculating here. One of the reasons that the Grizzlies chose Memphis is because they saw how Memphis supports and treats the Tigers. You know, the Memphis Tigers, that is. This is basketball central. You ain't getting that in Nashville. Now, from a business standpoint, yes, Nashville is probably the correct move. This is the other key to this. So, people keep saying, keep the same energy. All these other players have been saying this, and nobody cared until LeBron said it. Partially true, because I did a 2-5 daily about this very subject after Jimmy Butler made his comments. But this is the problem. LeBron James carries influence. LeBron James, like I said, he is very aware of what he says, when he says it, who he says it to, and who's going to absorb it. So what that tells me, and let me put on my conspiracy hat for a second. What that tells me is the league might be setting us up for the Grizzlies to move to Nashville. Because the contract that Memphis has with their arena runs out in 2029. So now we got a few years to shit on Memphis. And now we get to put all these black people out of jobs.
Listen, first of all, it's not that many people out there getting hired on this organization. And there's white people that work in these cities too. And the black people still working these games at
Memphis is but Memphis is very unique in a Detroit kind of way. 63% black. You don't see that very often.
Yes. And it also has to factor in I am curating a product here. And if the environment is detrimental to my product, I might have to move. And we talk about these cities and the crime rate, and Rez brought it up. Chicago gets a bad rap. Chicago is a city that people would like. It
just has a lot of people. There's going to be crime. They have a lot of people.
It was like a Fox News, Newsmax talking point. But Albuquerque, New Mexico is probably one of the most dangerous cities in America, but people don't know that. Along with Santa Fe, New Mexico, and just different cities out west per capita are probably the most dangerous. And a lot of cities down south. There's like 2 or 3 cities in Alabama that are like leaps and bounds ahead of Chicago, Milwaukee, even Memphis for that matter. But as far as a basketball entity, like I said, I talked about Philly. The security and the control and the area where they play basketball, football, and baseball in Philly is white people jogging at 10 o'clock at night. That's where the stadium is. It's a very safe area, fresh over the border from the Delaware. Like you cross the bridge, everything's right there. So police in that area is just fine. I'm not sure what a Memphis arena is, and I'm not sure what the behavior is on. I know like John Morant and some of his teammates, I don't know if that was in Indiana or if these guys were in Memphis pointing the guns at the cars. But if Nashville is booming,
it is.
Then why not? If I'm a player, it's like, yo, I want to go. Like we talk about players not want to go to Salt Lake City because it's boring. If you think Memphis in the area around the stadium,
but Salt Lake got money at least.
Yeah, like they have that, but they have good hotels. But players,
and then the other part of that, though, and I don't want to get too political here. The other part of that is, Memphis is a very underfunded city, as most urban cities are. And guess who makes the decisions on what money Memphis gets? That would be Nashville. So when you're LeBron and you say these type of things, and I'm not going to say he's out of his depth because he was just speaking off the cuff. He didn't have time to think about it, so I'm not going to criticize him from that standpoint. But it's just you gotta recognize some of these things. And Draymond Green put this statement out there about if they move to Nashville, there is they'll waive the fee because it's within the same state. That is not a thing. Like it could be, but that's not a rule that is officially on the books right now. And then lastly, what I'll say to wrap this up, to the people that I was talking to a couple of minutes ago that said people didn't care until LeBron spoke, let me correct you. You didn't care until LeBron spoke. Because we talk about basketball all the time as a country, as a civilization, if you will. We talk about basketball all the time. You only listen when it involves LeBron. That's not on me. You know what I'm saying? I talked about it when Jimmy Butler said it. I talked about it when KD said it. He should be more concerned with brushing his hair than whatever's going on in Memphis. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear none of this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, unless, because LeBron is at the point.
That bad.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
It have to be to the point it was like, yo, because if you're an NBA player.
Talk to Adam Silver about it.
You are treating these road trips like a little mini vacation. You get there on a Friday night, you game Saturday night, you get a little walkthrough, you go to a nice hotel, you maybe hit a nice couple of nice restaurants.
Or a town that they're in for maybe a day or two.
Yeah, so like if I'm going to this town and I go there a couple times a year, and every time I go there, it's like
you go there, like when he was in the East, he went to Memphis once a year.
Yeah, but now in the West, maybe he goes a couple times. He's probably like, you know what? I don't want to go.
Yeah, but don't nobody give a fuck about Oklahoma City and their haunted hotels.
Oklahoma City is the middle of nowhere. I know a lot of people in the military that get stationed out there. They love it. They're like, oh, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yep, and that's exactly what it is. Like they're starting to talk now, so that around 2028, when we start to hear rumblings, we can't go. The Grizzlies are moving.
The Oakland A's did the same thing, and so did the Raiders when they were going to Vegas. I want to go.
Yes, but the Oakland A's didn't. But the Oakland A's didn't have support either. You know what I mean? Like their 27,000 seat stadium was getting 8,000 fans.
Yeah, but
Memphis is still in their arena.
Yeah, but the Oakland A's organization was rejecting every single plan that the Oakland City Council and all the developers were giving them. The leadership was rejecting every plan just so they could go to Vegas. So this is not uncommon. It's not a black and white thing. It's not a black athlete-led sport. It's a money thing. It's
those situations
money being made by Memphis.
Money is always going to be.
It's always key. Nashville is where the money is. You have
money is going to be one. This is the difference.
You have a soccer team.
This is the difference. Money is always going to be the deciding factor, right? So, but this is the thing. So Luke Cornett, a couple of weeks ago, he came out and made the comments about Magic City, about how it was demeaning to the women. We don't need to celebrate that, so on and so forth. That's his right as a citizen to do that, right? What you won't see is somebody like Con Knipple, talk about, hey, why don't we move Sacramento to San Jose? You ain't going to see that happen because they stay on code. Like that's the thing. LeBron can feel the way that he feels, and a lot of people are going to agree with him, obviously. But some things, you got to recognize, one, who you are, your audience, because you can't tell me, as somebody that is as media savvy as he is, he didn't know people were going to react to this.
Well, that's the thing.
Don't talk to Adam Silver.
They asked him based off of other players' things, and he was like, yeah, hell no. No one likes playing in Memphis. He was like, yeah. Then he said, hell no. And that would have been
fine. And that would have been fine if that was all he said.
But just
when you add the move this team part,
profit from the move to Nashville.
You don't know that.
I see if he has some.
You don't know that.
And if he does, he'll get it anyway.
How many years LeBron? How many more years you think LeBron gonna play? One. So that puts him out of the league at 2027. Think about what I just said a few minutes ago. Memphis's contract with their arena is up in 2029.
And what's wrong? And if he wants to get involved with it financially, that's fine. But that doesn't take away from his opinion that he doesn't like Memphis.
Cool.
So he's apparently,
yeah. He also a snake that don't like his hometown. Why Akron athletics look like this? Do better, LeBron. How about you take care of your own city?
Akron.
You know what I'm saying?
Akron.
Fuck that. Fuck that. He's the kid from Akron. Ain't that what he called himself?
It's not his job.
It ain't his job.
The GM.
It ain't his job.
NBA president. It's not his job to be the NBA commissioner. It's not his job to be the head coach of the Lakers. It's not his job to be the broadcaster of ESPN.
Well, you know what, then?
It's not his job.
You know what? On that note, how about this?
My dad was in Memphis and saw a drive-by shooting in broad daylight.
I'm from Baltimore and I saw drive-by shooters. Look, check this out. I got a message from LeBron James. How about this? Shut up and dribble. How about that? Shut up and dribble.
The city is shit. It sucks, but they gotta fucking figure it out. You don't get to keep profiting if your city is shit. Fix your shit. Fix it.
Nobody has a problem with that. So
in the meantime, move them 3 hours east to Nashville.
Nobody has a problem with that. I'm just saying, that man need to be dribbling because he out here looking like Jalen Brown half the time. You know what I'm saying?
That's his right. It's not his job to do everybody else's goddamn job for them.
You know what I'm saying? Well, go talk to the people. Go talk to the people that can do something about it then. Go talk to the NBA PA. Go talk to Adam Silver. Go talking to the white boys on TV. Don't be talking to the white boys on TV. Go to the office. Go to New York. Go to the headquarters. Go anywhere in front of these white men.
Because if he did that, because if he went up to the NBA and said, let's move it, y'all be mad about that. Like, why is this? You think it's his responsibility to make sure that Memphis moves?
No, because you know what? No, because you know what? I don't have a problem with. Now, see, you done did it now. You done did it now. I don't have a problem with an employee, proper English, an employee having a problem with their working conditions, and they go to their employer or their manager or whoever it may be, and they say, hey, this city is a hazard to us. Like, we need to do something about this city or whatever the case. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem when there's this city that is impoverished, underfunded, and all this other shit, and you sitting around with a bunch of billionaires that can't relate to that shit, and you're like, take our shit and put it where you can get some enjoyment out of it. That's what I don't like.
And I understand that piece, but once again, it's not incumbent upon him to remedy the problems of Memphis. That's what I'm saying. Is like he can feel his opinion.
That's Lou Ritchie.
His opinion about Memphis isn't an indictment on him because it's not his job or his responsibility to resolve the issues of Memphis. He offered his opinion on where he thinks he would like to play basketball. That's his job.
How about this, LeBron? You like playing basketball in the NBA. How about that?
Well, don't listen. Memphis people have leadership. They have city council.
And they need to do better.
They have voters. They need to do better. He just doesn't want to.
You remember, I did say that at the start of this conversation. They had 25 years to get it right. So I'm not trying to.
It's acknowledging they didn't get it right.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, of course,
just work to get it right.
Maybe and of course, you know, there's developing it. And then, of course, there's that money part right now, right? Because right now, Memphis is the second smallest market in the league to New Orleans. You know, number 48, in fact, you know, saying Nashville, number 29. So, I mean, it's a win all the way around. You know what I mean? But just dribble the ball, LeBron. So, look.
You sound like the source.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything else makes sense.
I don't care about the source. I don't like the audience. I don't care about the source.
There was some podcasters who golf. They were podcasters.
Yeah, that's what it was. But still, either way, I don't like it. Stay on code. Stay on code. You know what I'm saying? All right. So look, our president, as if he doesn't have enough on his hands, you know what I'm saying, signed his executive order to fix NIL. And it's a bunch of shit on here. So I'm only going to stick to a few of these. You know what I mean? So let's go number 1. So there's 8 total. So I'm going to touch on maybe 4 of them. And I'll tell you about the rest of them. So let's start with the eligibility cap. So this is one of the few times that I've actually agreed with Donald J. Trump, you know, where, you know, limiting college athletics to a 5-year window, you know, with limited exceptions that, you know, so we got to talk about, you know, the military, you know, because these cadets have their service commitments. You know, you go to a school like BYU, you have your missionaries. But outside of that, you get 5 years. Regardless if you're injured, I'm sorry. That's life. That happens. 5 years, move on. Keep the pipeline going. What say you?
I disagree.
Go for it.
I disagree with the whole premise of it being dictated from the federal government level.
No. I disagree with that too, but I'm just talking about the rule itself. Like,
pushing the 5 years, there's always going to be exceptions. I say 6 because through no fault of your own, they can redshirt you just because they brought in too many players.
I'm going 5 because this is college. Get the fuck out of college.
If they redshirt you and they don't let you play, like if you're redshirt, you don't play.
5 years.
You play a year, you tear ACL, you get a medical exemption. So 6 max. But one of those years, the school had to redshirt you. You can't voluntarily redshirt yourself. If the school said you get redshirted and then you get injured, I get it. But like you get up to 6 years. But you cannot start. You can't start a season over the age of 24.
I can live with that.
I think that's probably the cap.
I can live with that.
You have to be 23 and 364 days.
I like 5. If I redshirt you still got 4. You don't need 5. You don't need 5.
If you get injured and then you miss a whole year, you get an opportunity.
That's the thing. Well, that's the thing. Injuries are a part of the game, and you're getting NIL.
But
you're being
NIL though. But
you know what I'm saying?
Everyone's not getting NIL. Some guys are just playing football or playing basketball or playing volleyball or swimming or whatever it is. Everyone's not getting NIL. Everyone's focused on the NIL because they don't want these young black players and these young players getting the money to control themselves.
Correct.
They want the players and the coach. They want the coaches and the GMs to have all the control. This has nothing to do with NIL money. That money's a drop in the bucket compared with LSU's paying out $75 million in buyouts to coaches right now. Mm-hmm. So the money's not the problem. It's the fact that they don't want young people to have control of their lives. That's what they're trying to dictate. Dictate to how many years the coaches can be there. There's nothing in that.
Well, the coaches have contracts and the coaches have buyouts.
And they get out of those contracts all the time. And the coaches don't buy out. The schools buy out the coaches' contract.
Mm-hmm.
The James Franklin doesn't give back any money from Virginia Tech to Penn State. Mm-hmm. But that, I want to stay on focus. But yeah, 23, 364 when the season starts. You can't.
I like 5. I mean, like your degree is generally speaking a 4-year program. You know what I mean? You get an extra year. I ain't got to give you more than that. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like no Van Wilder's running around here.
You need to be in class. You need to be in a program.
Well, that's a whole different argument right there.
Something. You can't just be in college. Like you need to be in a graduate program or in your undergraduate program. Like you need to be in school. Like Carson Beck graduated 2 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. And I wouldn't let him play. And under this rule, he wouldn't be able to play.
Well, Matt Lerner took ballroom dances as one class in this year. He came back for the year that Texas beat USC.
All right. So next one. This is the one that I think we both disagree with. So this is transfer restrictions, which, is a hard stop for me just off the words transfer restrictions. But this is one free transfer allotted in that 5-year window. A second transfer with immediate eligibility is only available if you have a degree. So from that standpoint, I don't like that. You know what I mean? Because I know that as someone that has gone through school, master's degree, going back to school right now and all that stuff, I didn't transfer per se, but I was changing the fuck out of that major. You know what I'm saying? We talking about 18, 19-year-old kids at the beginning of this that are maybe going away from home for the first time. You know what I mean? Get a little homesick, whatever the case may be. I don't think that every dude, and I know it's easy narrative, right? I don't think that every dude that transfers is scared of competition. You know what I mean? Like maybe there is some of that.
Even if that's the case, it's none of your damn business where I want to move to.
Okay.
It's none of your business where I want to take because if I was a student at Columbia, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg started out at Harvard, ended up at Yale. She still became Supreme Court justice. It's like you go where you feel like you're going to be able to thrive the most.
And they have no transfer rules prohibiting her.
Exactly. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And everyone's making it seem like, oh, we're looking out for the player. No, you're not. You're not looking out for the player. Like, stop pissing in my pocket and tell me it's raining. They only care about the fact that they're getting money. And because I'm giving you money, now I own you and I control you. And it's like, no, I have leverage because I have this money. I have leverage because I have this talent. So if you are in whatever position you're in, whether you're on a swim team, basketball team, water polo, whatever the sport, whatever it is, if you're on a fucking debate team and the debate team at Columbia is better than the one at Cornell, and you want to go to Columbia, go to Columbia. It's incumbent upon Cornell to backfill the spot that you left vacant. It's not incumbent upon the U.S. government, who can't figure out the difference between a war, an attack, or operation, to try to tell people how to navigate college when the person who signed executive orders can't read. So that's neither here nor there. So I don't like, it's none of their damn business how many times I transfer.
All Villanova,
right. Drexel, and Temple are all in the city of Philadelphia. If you want to be closer to the water, you're like, you know what? I'm going to Temple. You know what? I don't like the colors at Temple. I'm going to Drexel. You know what? I think Villanova's campus looks better. I'm moving out to Villanova. If I do all that things I need to do as a college student, I should be able to take whatever I want to do and go wherever I want to go.
Okay. There you have it. So then, number 3 addresses improper financial activities. So this is talking about fraudulent NIL schemes, which is defined as any arrangement to pay above the actual fair market value in connection with an athlete's participation in college sports.
You can't tell me how much money my name, image, and likeness is worth. Kim Kardashian has a few 100 million followers on her social media. So if Maybelline wants to pay her $1 million a post, to post a picture saying she's using Maybelline, that's what she gets. If Dad Gang wants to pay us $5,000 for a post, that's what we get. I can't say, hey, well, Kim Kardashian is getting $1 million for her post. I'm only getting $5. You can't regulate how much money and how much my name, image, and likeness can produce for me. As long as it's legally received, it's contractually received, and I'm paying the taxes on it as necessary, that is none of your concern how much I get paid for it. You can't call it fraudulent because you don't like the fact that someone's getting it. And you're not getting paid NIL money to go to the school. You're getting paid NIL money because you are who you are. I know they kind of mixed it into the football play because there's no verbiage and it's like a lot of ambiguity in it. But once again, you can't regulate to me how much the public wants to see my face and how much they're willing to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. So next, women's and Olympic sport protections.
How is that even factored into this bill?
So revenue sharing cannot be allocated in a way that reduces scholarships and opportunities in women's and Olympic sports. The Department of Education is required to, or directed to require regular reporting on roster spots by team and total spending on athletic aid broken out by men and women's teams.
Well, so I guess this is if they didn't put Linda McMahon in charge of the Department of Education, you can have somebody in control of that. But since you didn't do that, why are you fucking worried about it?
See, I think this is where legally, you get into your Title IX, because you have to protect that, fairness, safety, opportunities, so I think that's a good one because when we talk about these things, we focus on the 2 money sports, of course, because that's where the NIL comes from. But every now and again, you get your Livy Dunn. I'm sure Caitlin Clark.
No one cared how much money Livy Dunn was getting. No one cared that the Cavender twins transferred like 3 or 4 times. They quit college basketball to do social media exclusively. Then they went right back to another school. Nobody cared. They only cared when people who look like me, you, and my son tried to transfer and get more money from schools, and there was no rule stopping it. You have Linda McMahon in charge of the Secretary of the Department of Education. You disbanded half of it. You can't read yourself, but yet you out here trying to tell people how to dictate. Stay out of college sports. They have rules in place for this. They need to figure it out themselves. We don't need the federal government coming in with these asinine fucking rules that they don't even understand completely. Because once again, they're just trying to insert their will. You talk about shut up and dribble. Shut up in politics, where we need you. We don't need you on campuses. On top of the fact that campuses are state run. Mm-hmm. Federal government can't legislate to state-run organizations. That's the whole point. It's the whole reason that the
we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. That's definitely in here. So we'll come back to that. So then number 5.
Yeah, with this hoodie on. What up, Drake?
So number 5, I'm gonna take this off the screen for a second so I can read from my notes now. So
right.
number 5 is medical care for student athletes. So, this is for student athletes who sustain athletic related injuries during. Now, this is where we need definition, right? The order calls for medical care for student athletes who sustain athletic related injuries during enrollment and for a reasonable period thereafter. So that's where you go, what does that even mean?
I knew a guy who played at Grambling. He was an Air Force guy. He was a walk-on. He got injured, had his surgery, and they gave him like 6 months to rehab. I'm not sure. I can't remember what he injured, but they gave him 6 months to rehab. And when he wasn't able to come back to the team, he
took a scholarship.
He took a scholarship, and then they say, "Hey, you got to figure out you can pay for school." He couldn't pay for it. Left, joined the Air Force. So is 6 months reasonable? I'm guessing you have to leave that up to medical professionals. But once again, there's already protocols in place at universities for these things. It's already out there. It's already in the insurance. It's already things that exist. And the only reason that they're even chiming in is because of the NIL money. They don't give a damn about health. They don't care. But he doesn't care about women's sports. He doesn't even want a female general standing next to him. He damn sure don't give a fuck about women's sports. It's just fairy dust. It's just fraudulent stuff that isn't legally even required.
Well,
it's
like
just a thing he wrote down.
Well, see, what I took away from this is there's a thin line between student and employee. That's what I took from this. Because
if they just called an employee, they would have to follow national labor laws that are already established
and benefits and all that type of stuff together. Right.
And instead of just staying out of it completely, they say these glossy words, they put out these letters, they say shit like executive orders, and they henceforth they hereby and adhere and provisions and sanctions. They use all of these flowery words. It might as well be written on toilet paper because it is not law. It's not automatic. It is just bullshit that these guys have talked about in their country clubs because they're sick of guys leaving Alabama and leaving Auburn and leaving all these red state schools to go to these other schools, and all these other schools are doing better.
Well, don't let LeBron in there because he's going to have an opinion too.
All these traditional red state football schools are now getting their asses kicked, and they're sick of it. That's it. They're sick of all these young dudes flash their money with their jewelry on the sideline and transferring schools and getting the leg up, the same leg up that their fathers and grandfathers were given based off of nothing but skin color. Now it's green. The green in my athleticism is getting me a leg up. You don't like it, so I'm going to write this thing out here, get everybody riled up, but I'm letting you all know this shit could have been written on toilet paper because it is not legally binding. States run state colleges. States run state governments. This guy.
We're going to get back to that. Keep saying that. We're going to get back to it.
With a big Sharpie and makes threats like a fucking deranged lunatic. And now all of a sudden we got to yell about it on a Tuesday night.
All right. So agent regulation. So the order calls for the creation of a national student athlete agent registry with protections against excessive commissions. The committee is designed to enforce the Sports Agent Responsibility and Trust Act against these agents and related entities. I don't have a problem with that one. Saying make sure that the kids aren't being preyed on, taken advantage of, make them register, hold them accountable. I'm cool with that. Number 7. So this is one of your points that you've been talking about here. So challenging state NIL laws. So the Attorney General is directed to bring legal actions to invalidate state laws that conflict with NCAA rules invoking the Dormant Commerce Clause, the Contracts Clause, and federal preemption. This is a direct attack on the patchwork state of NIL laws that the NCAA has long argued undermines uniformed enforcement.
So you said the NCAA has long argued that NIL just came out.
It's been out for what, 4 years, maybe 5 now.
They ain't argue about shit. They argue about a damn thing.
They've definitely been arguing. I'm sure they have. Because they don't want they've been losing in court. Every time they go to court, they've been losing.
Because they don't want to do the legwork of being honest and say, you guys are employees. Now you have to follow these restrictions because they actually have to care. They have to provide more. They have to provide more actual tangible care. And more money has to go into each individual player because they are valued the same as employees. But you don't want to call them that because that costs you money. So instead, you try to regulate their money and regulate their freedoms and regulate their times and then infringe upon their rights by trying to get the federal government's lawyer to overthrow a state's ruling. That is Orwellian. That is authoritarianism 101. They're trying to do it with the voting rights. They're trying to do it with colleges.
Somebody been reading their 1984?
Listen, man. I didn't get these degrees on the wall by accident. You know what I mean? One of them's in criminal justice. I've learned some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all it is. It has nothing to do with NIL. It's a matter of like, I want to institute precedents that say the federal government can step in and take over control of X, Y, and Z. First, he's trying to do with the voting rules. Now he's trying to do it with college athletics. The attorney general just got fired. So you mean to tell me the person that you can't even keep in a job for 14 months is not going to be able to regulate the 700,000, like the thousands of schools in the United States of America that might play sports? Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like he says.
Oh, well, then you'll love this next one. You'll love this last one.
Hold on, real quick. What was the law that they referenced? The homestead or whatever?
It was the Commerce Clause and the Contract Clause.
Commerce Clause.
So we'll have to look those up. I'm not familiar with those. But here's the last one. The suspension and hold on, let me get through this one. The suspension and debarment framework. The suspension and debarment framework. So federal agencies that contract or provide grants to covered institutions are directed to evaluate whether violations of NCAA rules constitute a serious enough effect to the institution's present responsibility as a federal grant or contract recipient. The official management of budget is directed to issue guidance reinforcing the suspension and debarment framework in the General Services GSA administration is directed to establish regular data collection for compliance monitoring. And this is the best part. This is the order's most consequential provision. Universities that depend on federal research funding will take this threat seriously.
That's all it is.
So basically, at the end of the day, if you don't do what I say, I'm taking your money.
Credit for this research, and that's what he's been doing.
The same thing he did. Yep.
We have $100 billion in endowment.
So now, hold on. Let's back up for a second. So he was talking about, and let me put Red's comment back up on here. So when we talk about this, right? He's talking about protecting the students from the agents. He's talking about protecting the women's sports, from being, erased and all that. So what he forgot and what I just read is, you got your student aid programs. You know what I mean? Like those research programs go into a lot of science that help us do things like create vaccinations. You know what I'm saying? Medical funding,
research mental health problems that we have in America, research like the COVID research grants. So many federal grants come out of that because that's what education is for. The problem is they don't want woke schools getting money. So they'll do whatever they can do to assert this authoritarianism, and they'll disguise it in this very flawedly built fucking Trojan horse that we can see through. Like, I can see the bullshit in your Trojan horse. You got to build it properly so we can't see you trying to sneak it in. Like, this is so obvious what you're trying to sneak in. You're just trying to sneak in federal control What does the United States Attorney General have to do with college athletics? Nothing. The United States Attorney General has a list of pedophiles.
Well, hey, I was going to say, I got a list of stuff that they can work on.
You need to be taken care of. You got an FBI president who out here, FBI director who don't know what the hell's going on, can't read, never has an answer, but always seems to get him and his girlfriend and the SWAT team on the goddamn private jet. That's what you need to worry about. You don't need to worry about this kid from Duke going to Miami for $10 million when they're selling goddamn national championship tickets for $25,000 a piece. Like, come on. They paid for that kid's $10 million with the first fucking 4 rows of that game. He's good. Miami's good. Duke got paid off. Everybody's good.
So did you find anything on that commerce clause?
It's like a clause like they use in the arguments in Supreme Court in 1930s regarding labor and industry, but it's like you have to call them laborers in order. It's like they find like these obscure clauses in the Constitution and then try to
reinvent the wheel
time and then use it now.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're forgetting like
which is the problem in the first place. They're either employees or they're not.
It said primarily enacted to address economic chaos and trade disputes among states under the Articles of Confederation. That was before the Civil War. That's when this thing came out.
All right, so check this out.
Used this thing because there was confusion about how to split shit during the Civil War.
I've always wanted to say this.
Economic chaos. There's not a lot of economic chaos in NCAA.
I've always wanted to say this sentence. I haven't got a chance to say it yet, so here it is. We've lost the plot. I've always wanted to say that. You know what I mean? Because look, on one hand, we're talking about, NCAA rules. On the other hand, we're talking about, what the state must adhere to. And then in another breath, we're talking about protections. But then I'm only going to cover you medically for X amount of time.
Which is,
what I mean?
Standard. It's, like I said, it's already a standard thing.
You can't make more than what
we think.
Whoever deemed the market, whatever that number is, you can't make more than that, or that's a violation. So if you're, what is it called, a valuation? If your valuation is 1 million and a school gives you 3 million, now they're in trouble.
Livy Dunn was making millions. We'll say,
I think it was 4 actually.
4 million. She's making 4 million. I don't think any other gymnasts were making that much money. So should she not be able to?
I don't know any other gymnast's name.
Exactly. So it's like, should she not, like, her name, image, and likeness got her in commercials? I think she was in a State Farm commercial. She
was just in Sports Illustrated.
Excuse me. So, like, that's all it is just a Trojan horse to try to insert, because the initial wave they tried it with this administration was they tried to get their approved auditors into every one of these woke schools, like departments, like their administration department, their deans, like in their board of directors. Like they were trying to insert an auditor to ensure that the curriculum wasn't, DEI, but yet you're asserting all these people who literally can't read books, who can't read the teleprompter. Hell, the woman you put in the director of education or board, secretary of education, she called it A1 and not AI, Linda McMahon. So that's just
you heard what he said. Kim Jong-un thinks about Biden.
But yeah, you gotta person up there who legit, real talk. Like I'm not like who probably cannot read. He probably has reading and comprehension problems, but yet he's going to dictate to Harvard how they should teach people something. Just come on, man.
Yeah,
that's like me telling Usain Bolt how to win 100. Oh, you gotta do this.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, next week, it's about that time for me and Mr. Logical to start turning our focus to the NFL draft. A couple of weeks away from that. But thank you so much for your support. Thanks for joining us. He is, again, the one and only, world famous, world renowned. He's cool, calm, and collected. He was born He was born right here in Texas. You know what I'm saying? Raised in VA.
Hood.
Even though he represents everything New Jerusalem. And he told me this. He said that since they took the Nets, they need to give us the Mets. He is Mr. Logical. You know what I'm saying? Do not bring feelings to a fat fight.
Don't do it.
And then, of course, down here in the Alamo, going left so much you thought I was Southpaw. I am 2-5. I do believe in Joe Hendry. Looking forward to some Tyson Fury this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Forgot all about Deontay Wilder, but he finally won, y'all. He finally won. You know what I'm saying? This is Sports Reports Exhorted. Thank you, sir. You know what I'm saying? We are everywhere that you get your podcast. So is Say Less, Say More. We love y'all. Catch you on the next time. Like, review, subscribe, share, rate, do all the free things. Do all the good things. Download the podcast, Liquid Death in Hand, and all Sports Reports Exhorted. Out.
Shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready. 2 vets in the zone, keep the pressure real heavy. Big hits, big plays, yeah, we breaking it down. Truth rings in your speakers, every word is the crown. From the north side hustle to that southern flame. Midwest grind, west coast of the game. Sports talk kings, yeah, we wear that crown. Turn it up, let them know it's about to go down. Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chaser, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we